So, how's everybody doing? My name is Jonathan May. This is Sam Carter joining me, and this is going to be the first ever episode of Comic Book Cinema. For the longest time, I've been wanting to do my own thing when it comes to podcasting and comic book news and things of that nature. So, this is my first shot at it. Today, joining me is Sam Carter. This guy and I go way back. We first met in college back in like 2010. And currently, I believe, Sam, you are a physical therapist or physical trainer for a professional soccer team. Is that correct?
Not even close, but that'll do.
Tell us a little bit about what you do, Sam, and how you know me.
I know this guy from college. That's about all I want to say on that topic. And I would say I'm going to be the everyman in these talks. I love Marvel, everything about it, but in terms of comic book history, I'm not involved in that. I'm just a complete avid watcher of the shows. So I'm going to try and give a real everyman perspective on everything that we talk about.
Yeah, we're not claiming to be experts by any means. I consider myself to be an expert when it comes to the movies. But when it comes to, like you said, comic book history and lore, that is definitely not my forte. So today we're going to discuss Black Widow. We recently watched it, and we just wanted to give you guys our thoughts on Black Widow and how we think it stacks up to the other Marvel movies. So I guess we're just going to break it down bit by bit. We kind of discussed this earlier before we started this video. So the intro of the film to me was great. I really enjoyed, I wasn't dying to see like Black Widow as a little girl or anything like that, but I thought that they did a good job of showing, they were undercover agents or whatever in the US, and then they started escaping in the plane. It's pretty crazy how Red Guardian was just hanging out on the plane there. But the United States military, Sam, they weren't messing around. They were really trying to get those guys.
Yeah, it's a little bit unnecessary force.
Yeah.
I like to start off. It was good.
Yeah, it was almost like they had 5 stars in Grand Theft Auto, right? It's pretty ridiculous. So I thought the opening scene was fitting, and I also really enjoyed the remake of the Nirvana song. I think it was Smells Like Teen Spirit in the intro video or the opening credits. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
I was too busy watching Rachel Weisz, to be honest. So
yeah, like the opening credits, they had like a different rendition. I don't even know. You know who Nirvana is, surely, right?
I know who Nirvana is.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool and different. Just kind of showed like in the opening credit sequence of how intense the Red Room was and kind of what their upbringing was like in that atmosphere. So one thing that was disappointing to me was, you remember in Avengers how they mentioned Budapest? And yeah, sure, they kind of talked about Budapest a little bit. It was kind of like a one-off type thing, like, oh, in Budapest, Hawkeye did this and blah, blah, blah. But they didn't really show us any flashbacks. I thought it would have been cool to see, a flashback scene with Hawkeye and Black Widow and exactly what happened. I mean, that whole, what is his name? I just totally drew a blank. Dreykov's daughter, that was in Budapest? Or am I confused here?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's where she got blown up there, right? Collateral damage. Because that's what they had to do, was kill him. I mean, there was 3 arrow holes in the apartment. That was the only dedication that, like the real life one, right? You heard Hawkeye's voice in the car when she was in the car.
That's right. Yeah, he was on the radio.
I was kind of waiting for some kind of flashback because they've been talking about Budapest for like 10 years. So to not do a bigger scene on it was a little weird.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. So the fight scene between Yelena and Natasha, for me, this was kind of more, it was less of a MCU caliber fight scene and more of something that I would see on Key and Peele or maybe Pineapple Express. to me, it was just kind of, I don't know. It was kind of cheesy, like with them like pulling the guns on each other and like walking backwards at the same time. Like it was almost more comedic for me, in my opinion.
I think that they were trying to show, for people that didn't know who she was and didn't know that that was her sister. I think they were trying to show from that fight that they didn't really actually want to do that. But I also think that's why they didn't really release the movie until now, because nobody wants to see just fighting when you're used to all the other superhero stuff, right? I think that's the reason that they held it for so long.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, that kind of fell flat a little bit. I'm trying not to be too harsh here. I'm trying not to be like too much of a snooty critic. But this is, I watched it twice actually. I watched it the first time I watched it after it was over. I guess overall I was like, oh, that was decent. And then I had to watch it again so I could take notes and prepare for this. But so maybe I'm going to be a little more critical since I've already seen it twice. But I will say this though, it's nice that on Disney Plus, when you pay the premium fee, I don't know what you got. Did you guys see it in theaters?
Premium.
Yeah. It's, you know what? $30 is a lot. Yes. But the fact that you pay that premium fee and you get to rewatch it as many times as you want to, that's not bad.
No, to own it. I mean, you'd spend that anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we technically own it. I think we just have access to it on Disney.
As long as you have Disney Plus, though.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not bad. Disney, good job. I forget where I was going with that. Let me go back here to my notes and see.
You were worried that you were being super critical, which you was.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
absolute abuse.
I mean,
why don't you tell them now? Did you like it? Did you like the movie?
Like I said, initially, the first watch, I would say both watches, I still feel about the same. It's not a movie that I love. To me, it has some problems and inconsistencies, but all Marvels do in some way or form, even the first Avengers movie, which it hurts my heart to say anything bad about that movie because it holds such a high regard in my heart, but even that movie has some problems, but ultimately I thought it was like a mediocre 7. That's kind of how I felt about it.
Do you want my opinion now, or am I the big reveal at the end of this?
I guess you'll be the big reveal because I probably wasn't even supposed to do that. This is still my first time doing this, so still kind of new to it. But
I think people.
Well, go ahead.
I think people want to know if you like it up front before you bash the sugar out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was decent. That's my thing. Maybe my expectations were a little bit higher for it, which I don't know why, because for me, Black Widow and Hawkeye are two characters that are really good in the background, and they, add a little bit to the team when you have these big team up movies. But they're two characters that I never really cared to like see a solo standalone movie about, right? That's kind of where I'm at with that.
I think that the release date was the problem for me. Like I could have handled like this movie, I could have handled it if it would have just been a bridge movie. You know what I mean? Like if it would have bridged. It was after Winter Soldier, right? So let's say it came out then, or even a couple of movies later, and helped bridge two main movies, like between a summer and a winter release. Just a nice little filler right there. I think it would have had its place, but obviously Marvel didn't want to risk it being terrible ratings because no one knew her that well, right? But
well, I think people know Black Widow, but it's more of a
but like I don't know if she'd earned her movie rights way back when Winter Soldier came out,
Oh, there was never an issue with Black Widow's movie rights.
Not the rights to have it, as in people were going to actually give a crap about it and go see it.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
that perfect, dude. It would have been perfect even if they would have released this after Civil War, which is chronologically where it belongs.
Yeah.
The fact that they waited till after she's dead already in the current universe after Avengers Endgame, it just kind of like, okay, this is neat, I guess, but the character.
That's what I'm saying, right? And then especially now after COVID and things like that, people were just. They're wanting the story to carry on, not just look, So like that's been up against. They've been up against it for that as well, I think.
For sure. Yeah, And I think I haven't followed it this week or after this most recent weekend, but I know its initial opening weekend, the numbers were solid. They were higher, I think, than Fast and the Furious domestically. And, so far they were doing really well in the box.
Yeah, because everyone's crying out for Marvel right now, right?
Yeah.
But like when Civil War came out in what, March that year?
Oh, I can't remember. That was like 2016, Sam. That was 5 years.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking it was March, and so they should have bridged it.
Yeah.
They just brought it out in June, just a cheeky little movie later, and everyone would have just loved it.
Yeah. That's one big problem. I think it was kind of a day late and a dollar short.
Well, and she's dead. Like she's dead. Like good stuff.
Yeah, and this brings me to my next point, Sam. The car chase scene I really enjoyed. You remember when Yelena and Black Widow were? Can't remember if they were running. I think they were trying to escape from Taskmaster and the folks with the Red Room. But that was a good car chase scene. I thought it was very action packed. It was almost, in some ways, it reminded me of Fast and the Furious. But I enjoyed that. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I mean the fight scenes they're limited because no one's got any powers.
Yeah,
like when you've seen one scissor takedown, you've seen them all.
So right here, I have in my notes written, sometimes MCU movies put in convenient escapes. The slow walking Taskmaster and the blood trail that led him to a dead end reminds me a lot of, I think it was, no, that wasn't Civil War. That was Winter Soldier, where Nick Fury was trapped with the vehicle that was upside down. And
on top of the manhole,
like walking up super slow. And somehow this guy has a device that can cut through like 10 feet of concrete. Which, I didn't mind that at the time. And I probably shouldn't mind this. This is, after all, a fantasy movie. But it's just a little convenient that he was taking his time walking down the stairs, and then the blood trail runs cold. But we'll get into Taskmaster a little more later on. So what did you think about that?
I'm going to just agree with what you just said.
Yeah. I mean, Marvel movies kind of do that sometimes. So
you got to say, that's a little bit of rough. There's too much smooth to worry about that.
Yeah, true. Black Widow as a character to me, Sam, just is not that interesting. When I think, well, I guess Harley Quinn wasn't really a strong movie either. But when I think about female-led superhero movies, Wonder Woman is just like on a pedestal for me. That's a really good film. They did a good job with making her very inspirational to women. And the movie itself was filled with action. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know. For me, Black Widow is just not the most interesting character, like even, I hate to say this, but Scarlett Johansson's a great actress, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't want to see a movie led by Scarlett Johansson playing Black Widow. I think that there should have been some side characters in there because we've seen that before with the Winter Soldier. You saw Scarlett Johansson was in that and the Falcon, and there's been plenty of other Marvel movies. Even Thor Ragnarok had the Hulk. So I think it really could have used that extra boost. Even Hawkeye, who's another character that I'm not that crazy about. I think if he would have been in the movie with Black Widow, maybe it would have taken it up a notch for me. But the character of Black Widow for me is just not that interesting.
I think they paint themselves in a corner because, again, you already know her whole future. Like, she's going to die.
Yeah.
Seen her so many times until this point. And so you've heard about her, everything she does, everything that she's got to show you. So like, what else is there left really, but just to watch a Marvel movie that you haven't seen in a long time, right? Like now sequels and everything else that they do in any of the Marvel, in any of heroes, set, is going to have someone else in it because no one's going to care anymore. Like the days of like Iron Man 2, where you get away with just Tony Stark have gone, right? So the only
Don't forget, Black Widow was also in that, and Nick Fury.
The only thing that people want to see now are like origin movies where you can get away with not having other people in.
True.
Right? Or just team ups or sequels where they lead into the the far greater picture. I just think that she, like, again, where they released it 5 years later than they should, and people have just seen enough of her again to not care.
Yeah, that is bad that we want to see more characters in Marvel movies than we're not just satisfied with the origin story,
They've opened a door, and the door was correct. They should have opened it, but you're not closing that now.
Yeah, it's hard. And even when I watch movies with my dad, Catman, Marvel movies, he's always like, "Oh, the Hulk should just show up and save the day," like, "Oh, this is a Spider-Man movie, we're watching Spider-Man."
But when you're watching things now, you're waiting, like, even like Loki, even like what is it, Falcon and Winter Soldier that I didn't like. Like, I'm watching it, waiting and hoping someone else turns up in it. You know what I mean?
I actually love that show.
You're waiting for a cameo from Steve Rogers, and it just doesn't happen.
You got the Dora Milaje in there.
I mean, the first 4 episodes of that, they were long. The last 2 were right on me, but
yeah, I enjoyed that show, but we'll talk more about that later. So I thought the poser joke was pretty funny with Yelena. Her talking about Black Widow. She had some bits in the movie that were pretty funny.
I actually didn't mind her character one bit. I actually thought she was like super dry. I actually didn't mind all the supporting as well. Like, I thought Rachel did a good job as the mom, and what's his name did a good job as the dad, because he wasn't too serious, So
Red Guardian to me stole the show, and I hate to say that because
I was waiting for a little bit more.
What?
I was waiting for a little bit more from him.
Yeah, he was kind of more of a joke character, and I think that he could have been more. But now it makes me want to see, like, I want to see a Red Guardian meet Captain America in the Marvel Universe. I think that would be, even if it was just in a flashback scene, I think that would be funny, something funny to see. But I thought Red Guardian was good. The family together, the family dynamic was a high point of the movie. The dysfunctional family, So for me, another problem with the movie was the pheromone thing at the end, whenever she was face to face with Dreykov. Like, it's one of those things. What was that? What is that?
That's why she went to stab him and she couldn't. Because she smelled.
So all she has to do really is just like hold her nose and stand back in the back of the room, right? Just a cap in him. Or she could use a sniper rifle.
I mean, it was tough, right? It was tough.
Like I said, maybe I'm being too nitpicky, but they could have thought of something a little better than that, Maybe when you're within a certain amount of feet from him, you're affected by this chip that's implanted in you that you didn't know about. Or I don't know. I thought they could have been a little more creative with that. She had to break her nose. But so this is something that I really wish we could have had a super nerd on the show to discuss the lore of this character, because apparently the character of Taskmaster was neutered. Okay, this is a character that I'll go ahead and straight up say it. People who may be watching this video, I don't know hardly anything about Taskmaster, okay? I've seen him appear in a few video games, maybe a cartoon, but it's a character that I am not well versed in at all. I do know enough about the character to know that, the character obviously from the comics was nothing like what they had in this film. And maybe he's a little more talkative. I even heard comparisons, people comparing what they did to Deadpool in the Wolverine movie is kind of akin to what they did to Taskmaster in this movie. Do you know anything about Taskmaster? Not to put
this was a Christmas gift that I'm going to show you in about 3 seconds. And I was like, this was cool to like read it on Christmas Day, and then never opened it again until right now. But I actually have a Marvel encyclopedia of everyone involved in the universe. So I'm going to look this girl up, and we're gonna figure out.
Can't use Google like a normal person. You have to open up this book. It's like 500 pages.
I'm going old school to. She's got 700 pages. 1165. What's 3.7?
So yeah, that's, I don't know. And I guess I understand why they did that from the film perspective, like, oh, we have to connect, Dreykov's daughter, and also we have to redeem Black Widow and make it seem like she's not that bad of a person because, yeah, sure, she called in an airstrike on the same building that had Dreykov and his daughter in.
Like, by the way, like, yeah, she is bombed a child.
Yeah,
the child.
I get
the darkest thing that's happened on a Marvel camera, and everyone's just
really think about it. That is pretty messed up
about it. Yeah, I mean, the Taskmaster that I've got right here, he's a little bit different.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And I don't care if it's a man or a woman or whatever, but like,
yeah, I don't care about that either. But
this guy looks legit. He's got like a white hood and a shield and a sword. She's got a freaking Nerf suit on. Terrible.
You got the sword and the shield.
Yeah,
but yeah, apparently in the comics, it's a more talkative character. Like I said, I wish we had a super nerd that could really give us some backstory and in-depth, lore on this character. But that's something that I've heard, and that's a gripe of mine, I guess. I think the character, and I'm not the type of person that always wants the movies to be exactly like the comics, but you should at least not stray too far from the source material in some situations, in some cases it works, in some cases it doesn't. But there was a lot more to the character from what I hear. So one good moment for me was when Black Widow used her catchphrase again. She said, "Thank you for your cooperation" to Dreykov. That was pretty cool. I like that. And I was disappointed that we didn't get some type of cameo from Hawkeye. Like I said earlier, like even at the end.
You got his voice, didn't you? We got his voice.
Yeah, we got his voice. We got a picture of him at the end.
Asking me, "Hey, do you want me to bomb this child?" She says, "Yeah."
Yes. So, overall, like I said earlier in the video, I gave it away already, but I'm in the camp of, look, I have some problems with this movie. It wasn't perfect by any means, but overall, I think it's a decent film. It's better than Iron Man 2. It's better than Thor: The Dark World for me. So I gave it a 7. I think it's even better. This might be a little controversial, but I think it's even better than Captain Marvel.
All right, better than Thor: The Dark World. What is wrong? What is wrong with you? What's actually wrong with you? Maybe we need to create a video where we just argue over the rankings.
Yeah,
that would be a good one. But
that's always a hot topic.
It's not even close to better than Dark World. You're psycho. But
what did you think?
Where would I put it? I liked it. I just thought it was just out. It's just out of time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that they had to release it and push it, and the idea was it would have been followed pretty quickly by I don't know. Did they push Eternals back, or was Eternals always the Christmas release? But
originally, it was supposed to come out in May of 2020, I believe. Which it was, so that means it was delayed like a year and some change.
Yeah. So I mean, I get that, but I don't even think a year is. I don't think I would have cared even a year ago. You know what I mean? It just I needed it 5 years ago. But if I just solo it as like, look, I mean, I like it better than Ant-Man and Wasp. Like, they blow. And so I really enjoyed Ant-Man the first time I watched it, and then the second time I watched it, I don't need to see the Ant-Mans ever again, and which is a shame because I really like Paul Rudd. But to me, that character is just, I am. You know what I mean? You get big, you get small. We're done here.
You're not a fan of Ant-Man.
No, like I'm not a fan of him. I'm a fan of how Paul Rudd played him. I thought the movies, for what they did everything they could do to make that character seem exciting to people. But and he's desperately needed for the plot of Endgame and everything else. So like, good. I'm glad he's there. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, they're making a sequel, by the way. They're making a part 3.
Oh, great. Yeah. I mean, I'll watch it. I have to. I
think it's going to be an epic team up too. If because we already know that Jonathan Majors is going to be in it, and he's playing Kane the Conqueror. But that's a whole nother box of worms. Right now, on a scale from 1 to 10, what do you give Black Widow?
I guess I don't want to agree with you, but I'm gonna say 7. And this is only because I'm pretty sure 7 is like the lowest ranking I would give any Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how good of a job that studio is doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Black Widow is on a Sunday, I'll watch it. You know what I mean? If it's going, I don't know if I'll seek it out for a while.
Yeah. A couple years. I'll watch it.
The good movie's still good enough to, you know, like, I mean, I don't necessarily, I'm going to say I laugh out loud at the moments of funniness, but like the humor is there. I like the dynamic. They find a lot of the actors, the cast that they always pick, they always work so well together. That's why the family scenes worked and stuff like that. So like they're just so complete in what they do that even the ones that are not, say, top tier are still really good movies. And Rotten Tomatoes can just go away and just.
Do you know who Kevin Feige is?
I know that lad, yeah.
I think that all of that can be contributed to that man. He's producer or executive producer, whatever, on he oversees every Marvel film. And he's good, man. He's good at finding, you know, up and coming directors, actors. You know, he's really good at thinking outside the box and keeping things fresh. And when you look at the Marvel movies, especially now, we're 13, 14 years in, and they still can find a way to make the TV shows, the movies feel like they're not all the same, right? They're not all just like a superhero movie from the mid 2000s. They evolve, and they, you know, some feel like political thrillers, some feel like a straight up comedy movie. Some feel like a heist film, like your favorite Ant-Man. You know, they're really good at mixing things up and making it all feel different, even though it's pretty much the same thing.
I don't feel like I'm watching Iron Man 20. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like they're that close. And I agree with that, you know. They do a good job of drawing you back, but they do a good job of making it individual as well. So, how do you not like Thor: The Dark World? What is wrong?
How do I not like Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying I don't like it. I just think that it's one of the weaker MCU films for real. Okay, so now I get what you were saying. Earlier, I thought you were saying that Thor: The Dark World was like way lower than that, but you're arguing for Thor: The Dark World
compared to the ones that you threw up. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's that and Iron Man 2 are probably the two weakest MCU films, followed closely by Captain Marvel.
I think that Iron Man 2, surely after there's no way you walked out the cinema of Iron Man 2 and went, hated it.
And I'm not saying that.
You only don't like Iron Man 2 now because there's so many other better ones.
Yeah. There were some cool moments in that one too, but you know, like we were just talking about, even the lowest ranked Marvel movies, MCU movies, for me are still 7s, maybe 6.5, but I mean, they're still up there. You know, it's not like I'm saying they're terrible films. I'm just saying when you compare Black Widow to the rest of the MCU, it doesn't fare very well, especially against movies like, you know, Civil War and the Avenger movies, even Age of Ultron. It's just, you know, doesn't quite hold up. But it's not going to, you know, and I didn't expect it to. But as far as the origin film goes, it could have been better.
What is the one movie you've watched the most of?
Oh, man. Probably the first Avengers movie, only because when that movie came out, you and I were in college together.
We went to see it at midnight, right?
Yes. We saw it the day it came out, wearing our Captain America shirts that were way too small.
Yeah.
And, you know, I probably saw that in theaters like 3 or 4 times. That's the only time I've ever done that with any movie. Even The Dark Knight, I only saw that twice in theaters. But I think I saw Avengers 3 different times in theaters. And at that time, it was just unheard of. We had never even dreamed of seeing anything like that, where we would see a solo film for this character, solo film from this character. Let's build them all up and introduce the audience to them and then put them together in a movie. That had never been done. And nothing like that had ever been done before. And
it's amazing. It's amazing how amazing that was. And DC watched that event unfold and went, hey, you know what we're going to do? The opposite.
Yep. They tried to play catch up, and that's another story. You know, we got another hour or so. We would talk about that too. But there you have it, folks. We're going to end this video now. We both gave it a 7. We were a little underwhelmed, but like we're saying, we don't think it was a terrible movie. But that's just how we feel about it. So Samuel, thank you so much for joining me today. And this has been Comic Book Cinema, the first episode.